Hi again. In today's video, we are asking and answering the question, did Jesus really say that for us to move a mountain, all we need is faith the size of a mustard seed? Now, it's important to ask this question because if we believe that Jesus said this, then it's very easy to assume that everybody has at least faith the size of a mustard seed, which means that everybody should be able to believe and receive all that God promises them. But if we're honest with ourselves, too many of our circumstances look nothing like what God has promised us, which means God's will must have changed then. This has to be the case because we have faith and enough of it. When Jesus' disciples tried to cast a demon out of a boy and then asked Jesus why they couldn't, Jesus replied, "You don't have enough faith," Jesus told them. "I tell you the truth, if you had faith even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it would move. Nothing would be impossible." In the Bible, the mustard seed is the proverbial type for the infinitely little. And so it is believed that when Jesus compares mountain-moving faith with a mustard seed, that he's saying that small faith will achieve the impossible. Now let's look at a few other times when Jesus talks with his disciples about their faith. We have a case where the disciples are discussing amongst themselves what Jesus meant after he had warned them about the yeast of the Pharisees. Jesus knew what they were saying, so he said, "You have so little faith. Why are you arguing with each other about having no bread?" And then when the disciples woke Jesus up, scared for their lives when they were in a storm at sea, Jesus responded, "Why are you afraid? You have so little faith." Then he got up and rebuked the wind and waves, and suddenly there was a great calm. And of course, there's the time when Peter sank as he was walking on the water to Jesus. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" The Greek word that is translated into little faith is aligarpistos. And one Bible commentary says that this word comes from aligas, small, and pistos, faith, describing a faith that lacks confidence or trusts too little. Another way to term it is underdeveloped faith. There you have it, small faith. Now, why does Jesus rebuke his disciples for having small faith, but then tell them that their small faith will move mountains? Let's look again at the verse we started with. "You don't have enough faith," Jesus told them. "I tell you the truth, if you had faith even as small as a mustard seed is tiny, 2 millimeters in diameter, and surely we've all got this much faith, at least, if not more. But do we all see the impossible done in our lives? No, we don't. So why is that? Well, let's look at this verse in another Bible translation. "And he said to them, 'Because of your meager faith, for truly I say to you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed,'" This Bible translation has a footnote next to the phrase, "the size of a mustard seed," saying that it can also mean like a mustard seed. So which one is it? Well, let's look at the original Greek text. So here we are in blueletterbible.org, which is a great website, has a lot of Bible tools. We're going to be looking at the original Greek text. And here we click on Matthew 17:20, tools, and along comes the Greek text. There we go, it's right there. Now let's read through this in English. "And he said to them, 'Because of the littleness of your faith, for truly I say to you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you.'" Right, so let's go back to this section where we saw Jesus talking about the size, which is a phrase that certain Bible translations say come from the Greek word hos. Let's look at this word. Hos means, it means in the Bible as, like, even as, etc. There's no mention of size. Hos does not mean size. It means as, like, even as. Let's go further down to the lexicon where we're going to look specifically at what hos means in Matthew 17:20. Let's find Matthew 17:20, which we find right over here. And in the context of Matthew 17:20, this lexicon tells us that hos means in like manner, just as. There's no mention of size. So where did the Bible translators get the word small from? Now, I did say earlier in this video that the mustard seed is the proverbial type for the infinitely small. So maybe they're thinking that when Jesus talks about a mustard seed and says faith, he's talking about small, somewhere in there. But then we saw Jesus rebuking his disciples for their small faith. So that doesn't make sense. Let's look at a Bible translation that takes the word hos and translates it differently. He said to them, "Because of your little faith. For truly I say to you, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed." In this Bible translation, rather than referring to the size of the seed, they have Jesus referring to the quality of the seed. And yes, one quality of a mustard seed is that it is tiny. But is that what Jesus is comparing faith with? Or are there other qualities to a mustard seed? Yes, there are. That seed doesn't stay small. It grows to be a plant that is several meters high and several meters wide. That seed is full of potential. Now, earlier I said to you that there's this phrase, little faith, which can also mean underdeveloped faith. So when Jesus is telling his disciples why they can't cast a demon out of a boy, I believe that he's saying the following. Your faith in what I said to you was shaken by the circumstances. So grow your faith. Grow it to where no circumstance, no challenge can shake it. We have seen Peter let the circumstances of the storm convince him more than what Jesus had said. And Jesus' response to this was, "Peter, your faith is too small." And this is the case with too many people, and this is one of the main reasons why not everybody sees God's promises come to pass in their life. You see, small, underdeveloped faith believes that what circumstances have to say is more powerful than what God has said. And this faith stops us from receiving wisdom from God. It prevented the people who touched Jesus from being healed. It prolonged God's promise from coming to pass in Abraham and Sarah's lives. People say that they are confident that God can do something. But remember, this isn't about confidence in what God can do. Even the demons are confident that God can do some stuff. So yes, God can heal you. Yes, he can set you free from addictions. He can provide you with a spouse. But your confidence needs to be in what God has told you. And that confidence needs to be unshakable. I'm hoping that you're seeing that it is dangerous to build a doctrine on a Bible translation. So in my next video, we're going to be looking at Daniel 3, where we have been told that 3 godly men said, "Even if he doesn't."